Welcome, fellow Planeswalkers. I'm your host, Roman. With me today is Akeem.
Yo.
And Brian.
Hello.
And it's time to find out what's this week's casting cost. On this week's episode, it's turn 3, and our segments are Unnoticed Cycles, What Grinds Brian's Mind, and Modern, yo. So being our first week, Casting Cost is a podcast that I decided we kind of needed. All of our other casts seem to get a little long-winded for what we wanted them to be. So on Casting Cost, we will be exploring ideas and topics further that have been either brought up on our series Multiverse News, or things that have just been weighing on our mind that we kind of want to converse about or get out there into the ether. So, our first segment this week is something that I brought up, Unnoticed Cycles. And this is something that I've noticed Wizards continually not noticing. If that makes sense. They seem to start a cycle, a printing cycle in a set, and then either ignore the fact that it's a cycle by excluding one card, or not even notice that they were making a cycle. Off-cast, Brian brought up a good point in the Ravnica block. In the Return to Ravnica block. Every clan had an X cost spell. Shut up.
They were guilds. Tarkir had clans, my friend.
Every guild had an X cost spell, save for
Selesnya.
And they just didn't notice it. And we've seen things similar to that over time. You know, every single color has like a in the newest set, Ether Revolt, we have the cycle of this creature comes in, gives you 2 energy. When it attacks, pay 2 energy.
Yeah, that's clearly a cycle.
Yeah, get a 1/1 servo.
Similar to the Thriving Cycle out of Kaladesh.
Yes. However, also out of Kaladesh, and this is what was annoying me most recently, was that there was kind of an unnoticed cycle almost, but a cycle that just never really came to anything. And that is the 8 energy cost cycle. Because I'm not sure what else to call it.
It didn't have a name. So.
Yeah. It was 2 of the cards were at the uncommon level, and one of them was at the rare level. So at the uncommon level, we had the red card.
The Aether's the rogue or the thief. Don't know his name. He's 3 mana though. 2 colorless, 1 red for a 2/1. He comes in with 4 energy. Either
like
pay 2 energy.
To someone or something?
6.
He's 6 to someone.
Yep. His second ability was you
Ether
pay 8.
Torch Rogue? Ether Torch Rogue?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was it.
And we also had a blue one, I believe.
That is a rare.
That one is a rare as well?
Yep.
Which one was that?
The Sky Leviathan?
Sky Whale? Was that?
No, the Leviathan.
The Leviathan. The one that bounced everything?
Yeah.
Yes. That was
okay, yep. So we had 2 rare, 1 uncommon.
Yes.
Then we had the Architect of the Untamed, which was whenever a land entered the battlefield, you get an energy, pay 8 energy, you get a 6/6 Beast Constructor or whatever. So my issue with it, with this potential not cycle, basically, is that one, I do think that it should have been an uncommon cycle, and I think they missed a really good opportunity in not printing a usable mana dork. Not to say that the mana dork that they printed isn't seeing play in Servant of the Conduit, but my thought on this, and I know that they're wary of mana dorks in general, but I do believe that they should have swapped Architect of the Untamed and Servant of the Conduit, as well as their first line ability. So with this change, Servant of the Conduit would have, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, get an energy. Tap, pay an energy for any color. Architect of the Untamed would have something similar to Aether Torch. Was it Rogue or Renegade?
It was Rogue.
It was Rogue.
Rogue? Okay.
There wasn't a Renegade yet.
Right. So Aether Torch Rogue enters the battlefield, gives you 4 energy or something, and then the second line of text would still be pay an energy, get a 6/6 construct beast thing. I think it would have made Servant of the Conduit extremely playable and an actually sought after card, as opposed to the dead rare that we got in Architect of the Untamed. And I understand, putting Architect of the Untamed at rare for drafting purposes or whatever, but we've known for a long time that even uncommon cards have certain rarities. In Fatal Push, for
Mythic
instance.
Rare, Fatal Push, or Mythic Rare, unlicensed, not an unlicensed discrimination, Harness Lightning.
Yeah.
Or Aether Hub.
Aether Hub.
Yeah, so it's not like they couldn't have just increased the rarity of an uncommon Architect of the Untamed. But that's just my opinion. I do think that they missed potential for a very good, very playable Mana Dork and an uncommon cycle that we didn't have in Kaladesh in the 8 energy cost. I'm not even going to even begin to guess what a white 8 energy cost or a black one would be.
Well, that may be the reason. It either, one, they didn't notice the cycle, or
Which
2,
happens
they
very
just
often.
figured that white and black just weren't energy colors.
Even though
Red, green, and blue really were. Black had a little bit of energy. White didn't.
White
They,
White started getting more energy in Aether Revolt, and it was very minor, the things that they do get, and it's light energy.
They did give it energy, though, in
that rock.
Thriving Ibex.
Right.
Had
well,
energy.
Again, for a cycle. However, everything that used energy in white, there were a lot fewer cards in white that used it, and everything that did used like 1 or 2 energy at most. Everything else, like in red and green, we used a lot of energy.
I get it.
2 to 3 at a time.
I totally get it. But given the fact that even in the limited drafting sense, you could pair white with green and have a pretty viable white-green energy. White with blue and have a white-blue energy. It's not like the potential of 8 energy is impossible for white to get. And it could have been something as simple as pay 8 energy, your entire all creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn or something. Well, just something that is very white that would have completed a cycle. But regardless of not completing this cycle, which, like we've said, they have many unfinished cycles or incomplete cycles or whatever you want to call them. Regardless of that, I do think that Servant of the Conduit and Architect of the Untamed should have been swapped. And Akeem's Akeem pointed out that there would then be a similarity between Architect of the Untamed and Beastcaller Savant.
Right, because Beastcaller Savant, for those who don't know, colorless and a green for a 2/1 haste that came in Battle for Zendikar. He can tap for any color of mana, but only to cast creature spells. So here we have Servant of the Conduit, which is also a 2-drop, same exact mana cost, who's a 2/2, comes in with 2 energy, pay an energy, he taps for any color. So it seems that the Servant of the Conduit always just leaps and bounds because he can always cast for any spell. Granted, Beastcaller Savant had like ally synergies because it was a elf ally, but it's very niche and you don't see it play. You didn't really see that card be played a lot during its time when it was first released in Standard. So it seems like they're definitely in a weird place where they want mana dorks to be in.
The only thing we know for sure is no one-drop mana dorks anymore.
Yeah, they've definitely cut that out, but I don't know. It's just they need to figure out what their philosophy is. The other thing, excuse me, the other thing was about the unnoticed cycles. It's a very big one in Aether Revolt with the calls of. The Call of Unity for white, and the green one had call as well. Whereas a 5-mana enchantment, usually double in the color that was 4. For Call of Unity, it was double white and 3 with a revolt trigger. So revolt for that one was if you trigger revolt at a Unity counter, and creatures get +1/+1 for each Unity counter you had.
Right.
So it was a revolt call that they could have had in other colors. And
the green one was at the end of your turn?
End of your turn, reveal the top card. If it's a permanent, put it in play.
Mm-hmm. Otherwise, put it in your hand?
Non-land. I don't think it... Was it? Non-land? I just know it's not as good as you give it credit for, because it only triggers on your end step.
Right.
Yeah, same with Call of Unity.
I believe it's a non-land permanent. Yeah, so it can be a spell, it could be a land.
But either way, yeah, you did bring up a good point there. There totally could have been a call for
blue
cycle, a blue one, a black one, and a red one. It just seems like they underestimate the appeal of cycles. I'm a huge fan of cycles, and I don't know if that's because I like things to be... I'm not going to say that I'm OCD, because I'm not, but I do prefer things to be complete. And only having 2 of a thing when there are 3 more possibilities of it is kind of like,
Well, Mark Rosewater, having listened to a lot of his Drive to Work podcasts, they're well aware of people liking complete cycles. That's one. It's one thing they try to keep an eye on, keep putting out. Often, if they don't put it out, it's either due to power problems, flavor problems, what have you. But they've been like, the reason I know about the X cost in every guild but one was it was pointed out to him, and he brought it up on his podcast that Dish didn't see it. Oftentimes, when they miss cycles, if they come back to the plane, they'll finish the cycle. Or they'll just have mega cycles throughout the sets. Like,
fair enough. So, but I guess the only issue now is that since we're seeing very world specific kind of cycle ideas, like one, we'll never see a finish to the call for cycle.
And we go back to Kaladesh, which won't be for a while.
Partly because it might... Yeah, we're not going to go back there for a while. Thematically, it might not fit anymore. With the whole revolt and everything like that. It could still, possibly. But we're definitely not going to see it printed in any other sets due to the fact that it's it's based on revolt. Unless they did revolt in another set, which they could, but I don't think that it was received well enough for them to push it into another set.
Right.
Or another block, rather.
I doubt that they even noticed that it was even a potential cycle. It's just 2 cards.
Right. It's just... And I'm not saying that, oh, you have 2 cards that are similar, so you better make a cycle, or every card better be part of a cycle. I'm not saying that at all. I am saying, though, that I would like to see more cycles. I don't want them to overfill every single set with, look, guys, we half of the cards are cycle cards in this set, you know? Because then it would just feel like kind of a cop-out in flavor and stuff.
I'm going to take Wizards' side here, in that they do a ton of cycles. They do both cycles at the same rarity, cycles across blocks, cycles common, uncommon, rare, and then they even do really fun stuff like the Delver of Secret cycle that they did throughout the the two sets. So you had Delver into Delver of Secret, or an Insectile Aberration, and then in Shadows you had that creature change again, and then you had it change again in Shadows till you got the Docent of Perfection. So that made little Insectile Aberrations.
I get it, but the thing is, and I gotta say here that I do think you're wrong on that point. I wouldn't consider that a cycle. I would consider that a callback. Kind of like Grapple with the Past was a callback to an older card featuring similar art. It's not so much a cycle.
You're right. That one's a callback.
Yeah, it's more of a callback card. And I'm not saying that they don't do a lot of cycles. I am a fan of cycles. I like the idea of, oh, look, this is a similar card in a different color with kind of a different ability.
Like the expertise.
Yes, like the expertise, or
the Gearhulks.
Or the Gearhulks, or even it's not a cycle, but it's an unofficial kind of cycle, even though the modern viable 2-drops
are just the best 2-drops in the game.
Right, but like power-wise, it's kind of, although except unfortunately, Abbot of Carol Keep didn't really.
Damn.
You don't really. That's the issue. Is the best 2-drops are all rare except for Young Pyromancer, who's uncommon.
Yeah. And Goyf is now mythic, technically.
But
Technically.
you've got Snapcaster, Goyf, Stoneforge, Young Pyromancer, and Bob, aka Dark Confidant.
Yeah.
But those are getting changed all the time. You could replace Snapcaster with Jace.
No, I get it. But you had mentioned that before, that it was the rare 2-drop,
The rare 2-drop
unofficial cycle.
Yeah.
Power cycle, I guess. And so yeah, they have coincidental cycles.
Oh, we've got the start of a new cycle. Path to Exile, Lightning Bolt, Fatal Push.
Fatal Push. Yeah, true. We had Serum Visions, but not anymore.
What's Green got? Othanissa?
I guess so. That's about the best.
No, they have Prey Upon. Dang it.
Othanissa.
Or are you saying specifically removal?
Well, if we do go with removal, Prey Upon works. It's just really shitty.
Yeah, but then we are missing a green and a blue 1-drop.
Oh, Vapor Snag. You could say Vapor Snag for blue.
You could.
Yeah, green doesn't have a good 1-mana kill something or get rid of something, except for Prey Upon, which isn't that great.
Hey, aren't we forgetting Fog?
That
I'd say that's the green.
Oh yeah, they don't agree. They don't like 2 1-mana fogs anymore either.
Oh yeah, they don't.
I'm just saying, if we're gonna start with 2-card combos or 2-card cycles,
2-card
to
combos.
start our cycles.
Talking about Sahelian Guardian.
Sahelian Cats.
We've got Wrath of God and Damnation. I want those in every color.
That's different.
I want a green Damnation, a blue Damnation, and a red Damnation.
That's different.
Nope, I want it, and I want it now.
That's because of Time Spiral.
It's my Magic cards, and I want them now. No, we're not going to see any more 4-drop Wraths.
Not anymore. Their philosophy's changed.
I disagree with that.
Really? Why?
I think they're just taking time off to make it special again.
I could see that.
I think this... Okay, so if we go off that logic, then the reason why they're doing it is because Supreme's Verdict. Supreme Verdict is the reason why.
Definitely overpushed.
Because they flubbed. They flubbed big time. First of all, it can't be countered. Okay? It's like, oh, but we'll make it a super hard mana cost. No one will be able to do it. You gave us Shocklands. Like, really?
And Guild Gates.
And Guild Gates, and then eventually you gave us a way to tap for a lot of mana and Nykthos.
Also, you missed the chance to call it Wrath of Lefnik. It was John Finkel's original submission for his invitational card was an uncounterable Wrath for 4 mana.
Oh yeah, you did tell me that. They weren't going to
But
do
they
that.
said they would never do that,
And
and
then
he
they did.
changed it to Shadow Mage Infiltrator.
Also, they made it a lot better when paired with Quicken, because then it's a 5-drop instant speed, uncounterable.
On your upkeep.
On your upkeep, right?
I think that's also why they started like not really pushing blue as hard, because they pushed blue really hard in Return to Ravnica block. Like pretty much the first set was like, here you go. You want to build a Azorius deck? We'll give you everything you need. And it's like, oh, well, thank you. I don't have to get anything else. It's just like, oh, Theros comes around. Have Elspeth. Oh, sweet.
Wait, I thought you said blue. Elspeth is white.
I said Azorius.
He did say Azorius after that, but he said pushing blue as hard as his start.
No, not. They were pushing blue in general.
Gotcha.
Regardless, they've been lately
Okay,
sucking
okay.
Green's dick way too hard.
I'm assuming that we have just decided this is not a podcast for children.
That's what I was about to say. I'm like,
So-
jeez, all right.
Well, now we can say fuck all we want.
Sounds good. Did you want this for children? I can say
Let's bleep
not
it.
sucking dick.
Bleep it. Well, at the end of this podcast, we'll record like Brian saying duck. And whenever he says dick or fuck, it'll be replaced with duck.
Just so you know, in the future, when we cuss like we've been, we're going to cover it up with duck.
Maybe not in the future, maybe during this entire podcast.
Duck.
But either way, it'll be very funny because it will be a completely out of context tone. So it'll be like, lately, they've been really sucking Green's duck.
But yeah, no, they have shifted over to green, which is interesting to say the least. They already pushed it really hard in Theros because of Corsair Crucifix and everything else. Then they went further in cons, like, here, why don't we have Dem Protector?
Green
Here,
Devotion
have
was
Death
real
Mist
big in
Raptor.
Theros.
Yeah, no, green was written like extra push, and I was like, what if we give them card advantage? Here's Othenness. It's like, so
Tireless tracker.
are they? But here's the thing: is the reason why they're doing that is because they're shying away from the fact that green is no longer like super fast at ramp like it used to be.
No, they're shying toward. They're heading towards green because green is the color of creatures and the color of combat, and that what makes the game interesting to a large majority of players, especially players that are new and entering the game. They, when you're a new player, the most interesting thing is on the board action. You care about what's happening back and forth between players, getting in the red zone. This is the majority of new players. Meanwhile, older players, not all older players, but
Like the stack.
well, we do prefer
This
the
non-existent board
and,
state.
A lot of players who've been playing the game a while or just at a higher tier skill-wise play the game more about what's going on in your opponent's hand. So I care less about what's going on the board. That's not interesting to me. I could care less if you have a giant creature. I care less if you've got, or I care more if you've got a kill spell, counter spell, what your plan is eventually. I'm trying to get into your mind, not what's on the board.
I get that. I will say that I'm currently building Gatewatch decks because I'm a huge casual fan. And I recently was looking up cards that either in their name or in their flavor text had the specific walkers' names. So Liliana, Jace, Chandra, Nissa, and Gideon. And when I looked up Chandra's,
Don't forget Ashani.
Well,
He's new.
he is new.
he hasn't made one yet. It's the main five.
I have an Ajani deck. It doesn't necessarily
a Johnny deck or a Johnny deck.
Or a Wani dick.
Juan. A Juan deck. No, but my Ajani deck is not so much Ajani centered as it is just cat centered. That might change, but either way, getting off of my point. Or as Reinhardt would say, get on the point.
Huh?
Oh my god.
What?
You don't like no Overwatch?
You don't like Overwatch?
He doesn't play Overwatch.
I don't play it.
That has to change.
You play it on your computer. he plays it on a computer. I don't have a computer to play it. I have a PS4, and I don't have the money to play it when I want to play Final Fantasy 15 and Bioshock Collection.
How dare you?
And then I'm saving up for Mass Effect as my next game.
You better.
You better.
I already got it pre-ordered.
You got the system for it?
Pre-ordered that too.
I don't think it's called pre-ordering.
They might have a special edition version.
They might.
Yeah.
Set in mind of getting it.
So back on the point.
Yes.
Fuck's sake, man.
The point, yes.
The point.
When I looked up Chandra, there were like 3 or 4 creatures that showed up. And everything else was a sorcery or instant burn.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. And so I get that, you know, when you look back, there's all this
Well, that's just
non-combat stuff. I will say, though, that it hurts my decks that they don't have more Chandra-based creatures.
Well, you can change that with the Chandra Planeswalker deck. Go to your local game store now and get one. It's only $15. It comes with 2 packs of the current set, which is Kaladesh.
And we are not yet sponsored by Wizards of the Coast. Sponsor us, Wizards of the Coast.
yes.
We will suck
Sponsor-
your duck.
I quit.
Speaking of
Sucking ducks, Brian's got a fun little segment that might not come up every week, but this week especially. Well, if Brian's not on,
Oh, okay.
um,
I'm not always angry.
that too. Maybe he won't always have something that grinds his mind.
Keem,
What
Roman, you want to know what grinds my mind?
I do.
Currently, the Gatewatch. The Gatewatch grind.
You.
No.
No. That's just a blatant defiance.
Oh, shit.
I guess you could say it's clan defiance.
Aw, shit. It's an X.
It is.
I was gonna
say. Okay. So, what about the Gatewatch grinds your mind? I'm curious.
I've really been enjoying the story
Mm-hmm.
for Magic lately.
Well, you can also hear our thoughts about the story on Lore's Day that comes out usually every Thursday. But yes, continue.
Starring
Yes, Akeem.
Roman and
Lore's
Akeem.
Day. Not me.
You're not a Vorthos. Get out of here.
Kinda. Regardless, I've been enjoying the story and infusing the infusion of the story into the game a bit more.
With their
Their
story
story
central
spotlight.
cards.
With the
Yeah,
spotlight cards and just it just feels like you're getting more of the story.
Mm-hmm.
rather than
Like
searching
I don't know.
through the depths of the internet to find out what just happened.
I still don't know what happened in this freaking
Maze?
the maze of Return to Ravnica.
Me neither.
There's
we know,
a book apparently on that.
We know Jace came out on top.
Yep.
Kind of came out on top.
He's the
Kind
goat.
of bound to a plane.
Kind of. I mean, he shoves it all on Lavinia, but
Yeah.
He could just
Poor
give it.
Lavinia.
He could have just gave it to Ralzer.
Regardless, as much as I enjoy the more story pushed angle that they're doing,
Mhm.
we're seeing way too much of the Gatewatch. We have 3 Gideons, 3 Chandras. We're about to have...
By Gatewatch, you mean Gatewatch cards.
Yes.
There you go. Okay.
We have 3 Gideons, 3 Chandras. Not 3 Gideons, I'm sorry. 3 Chandras, 3 Nissa. You fucked me up. We have 3 Chandras, 3 Nissas. We're about to have 3 Lilianas and 3 Gideons.
Now this is including the Planeswalker deck versions.
Yes, I am including those. Regardless,
Because they are technically standard playable.
Yes, they are.
I don't want to play against the same Planeswalkers every set. I don't want to play against them. I like break. I like the variations of Planeswalkers that we used to have, like Xenagos, Domri Raid, Ashiok, Narset. Like, if we're just going to keep seeing the same 5 walkers over and over and over again, it's going to get really dull really quickly.
One can argue that it's already gotten dull.
I would argue that, yes.
What is your point, Ramon?
Fair points, Brian. I will say, though, that if you look at this from another angle, so if we look at it from, this is sort of the beginning, because, yes, we started off with 4 Gatewatch, then 5, now we're at 6. As the members of the Gatewatch keep expanding, so too will the variety in walkers that we see. Right now, because they're trying for a more consistent character-based story, much like a book or a video game would be, rather than jumping around the multiverse and trying to keep track of 1,000 different main character walkers, they're building their character base now. And as they're building it, we'll see more variety. When we get a 7th walker, an 8th walker, we'll be able to bounce around, and instead of having multiple in a row.
So, to use comic analogies.
Sure.
I love the Avengers because those characters, the main cast, is mostly incredibly nuanced. I'm not getting that out of these characters yet. There is nuance. There isn't as much nuance that I feel for like the Marvel Avengers. Granted, there's a lot more to them.
I'm about to say, also, I don't think you're giving them much of a chance.
If we look at it like this, the Marvel characters have had
a long
years.
time.
No, I agree.
Yes, and again, a beginning. And,
right, and I wasn't done.
Well, I was gonna say you're saying you're not seeing much nuance, but as me and Akeem have covered in Lore's Day, please listen to us, please. Chandra's character grew immensely just between Kaladesh and Ether Revolt. Not just through and it's not just because the writing got better. Rather, her character development, her personality skyrocketed.
Certainly.
And I think partly that was because this was her story. We're not going to see a huge development in Gideon until something happens
involving Gideon. It's the Gideon
story-wise. Not necessarily that. I have some theories for Ether Revolt that will force lots of... Or not Ether Revolt.
Amonkhet.
Yeah, and Amonkhet, specifically Hour of Devastation, that will cause tons of character development. And I totally get your frustration with the sameness.
Right. But what I was going to say was, with the Avengers, you keep having the same cast over and over, and we've had them for, let's say, we have 14 movies, I believe, currently.
Yeah. Talk about the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We've had 14 movies. Okay. And that's gotten, to a lot of people, stale. But if you shift over to, say, DC, well, their movies suck. They're the animated series. When you looked at Justice League, you had your 5 main. And after a while, they expanded into the giant Justice League. That was everybody. And then you would have, instead of just having the episodes that focus on the main 5 or whatever, you could have an episode that just focuses on, say, Black Canary or Booster Gold.
He's going higher and higher each time.
Allowing some breath of fresh air into not only the story, but just the metagame.
Roman, what is wrong?
I'm gonna fucking cream.
Oh no!
Anyway, Akeem, what is up with you?
I get your variants and stuff, and something that me and Akeem were talking about just last night, actually, is that after Hour of Devastation, we're probably gonna see something based on a Johnny, which would most likely not include any of the core Gatewatch members because Ajani went off on his own to go find people to help. So we might see him recruiting people to the Gatewatch or something. So I think that we're going to start seeing these breaks now that they've established the Gatewatch, what they're trying to do, who the main members are. Now we're going to see more branching. But I do get it. I think that we will have to stick out at least, probably through Amonkhet until they spoil the next block.
I mean, probably, but I really think they're just going to stick with at least one of the main 5 in every set. Because this is now Wizards' 5 main... They're each the Mickey Mouse.
Right. Well, that's the one thing. You bring up a point because they've been trying to make their movies.
I'm Gideon. I'm Liliana.
Yeah. Thanks. And the reason why they haven't been able to make any movies is because they haven't had a... Tyler, no! I mean, Roman, no!
I mean, whoever you are, Juan,
Roman, Tyler, I don't know!
Palpatine! No, I'm Chandra!
Oh no! So the point is, they're trying really hard to have their I'll pause as they're getting louder.
Yeah, let's take a break.
Yeah. I'm holding all my thoughts. Oh no! I need my
don't
thoughts.
Distract him.
I need my thoughts.
Keep your thoughts in your belly.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I'm like a Gundam pilot. Right there.
Aren't the Gundams in the chest?
Which
Gundams? There are many Gundams, and they were in many different places.
At least it's not Zone of Enders, when there's literally a cockpit.
The video game?
Yeah.
I loved Zone of Enders.
I do too. It's my favorite mech game ever.
Fuck you!
I've always wanted to play. I've never played.
It's wonderful.
It's so good. I never played the sequel.
That's better.
Isn't that also done by the guy that did Metal Gear Solid?
Yep, Hideo Kojima.
Hideo Kojima.
Kojima. That's Stranding.
Pronounced Hideo Kojima. Spelled Juan.
One pun.
Hello. Wait, that was Russian.
Hello.
Hello. Is this 9 Juan? Why, yes. Yes, it is. Would you like a taste of my burrito? I do think that they are pushing the Gatewatch a little much right now.
Well, here's my point. You have the supplemental walkers, or the supplemental Planeswalker decks.
Mm-hmm.
Those could have been used not to push your main walkers, or even they could have been used to push your main story walkers, and then you could have used the walkers that are in the set to be more varied or interesting walkers. That way you have the story walkers as something that is pushed for new players or the masses, and then you've got random Walker X as your competitive mainstays.
I get it.
Or reversed.
I get it. I think that they just don't want to play down the power of their core walkers, because if they only print them in the intro decks, then it's almost no different from printing them in the core sets.
I'm just saying we don't need 3 of the same walker in standard.
Totally understand. What were your thoughts, Akeem?
The way the stories were set up is probably the only way they could do something like this right now. If you think about it, Origins pretty much was saying everything you knew about these Planeswalkers before, we're retconning it. We're starting over. This is their story now. So then from Origins, you go to Battle, which is this is Gideon and Nissa's moment, and this is the formation of the Gatewatch, literally with the Oath of the Gatewatch. The Shadow block happens. This is Jace figuring out his thing and figuring out what's going on Innistrad, and then this is absorbing Liliana to the Gatewatch. And now they've gotten to Chandra and Kaladesh. So, like, what they're doing is that they're trying to highlight each person as much as they can. And so, for right now, even though it's stale from a storage perspective, it hasn't really been that long since these guys have built up already. So, you building them up, they're a team, they're still trying to get to know each other and how they're going to deal with all these personalities. They literally come from different planes. It would be very weird to be like, all right, cool, so you stay over here where you were, and you two go over there, and we'll just be separated just like we were before.
I will say that I do agree that this is kind of how they had to do it. Starting off, this is basically building their story. It's unfortunate that it has to take place over so many blocks, especially when...
And then the blocks stick around even longer now.
Especially when the variance of your characters and stuff really, or lack of variance, really impacts the desirability and playability of the game.
That's the other thing, too. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, it even messes with my building constraints. I can't play so many, like, yesterday I built a Planeswalker deck, and I had to limit what I'm playing in my deck based on if I play out 3 cost Nissa, I can't then play out 5 cost Nissa because it will destroy my other Nissa.
Speaking of Planeswalker decks, quick aside, one of my favorite decks to play on Magic Duels, because I'm a casual,
yes,
filthy casual.
Scrub.
Not a scrub. A scrub implies that I'm bad at the game. I am not bad at the game. I'm a filthy casual. I will fully embrace my dirt. Rolling around in the mud.
Anyway.
I built a Planeswalker deck on there, and the only creatures I am running are Pilgrim's Eye to search for my lands, and Rune's Servitor to draw cards. Literally everything else in there is a Planeswalker or an Oath card, and it's fun as hell to play. But aside from that, I do think they're limiting themselves with these intro decks, but from a different standpoint. My standpoint on it is, or my viewpoint rather, and I know Mark Rosewater has stated that they want the intro deck walkers to be core walkers because those are their poster walkers, and those are the characters that they want new players to be most familiar with.
Right.
However, I do think that that's putting too much into new players, and what I think is a huge missed opportunity of theirs is that I think that the intro deck walkers should have been non-story related, non-core walkers.
Right.
I think they should have just been completely background characters that were from the plane, but didn't really have any place there. It would give them more variance. The only reason that I really dislike the idea of making that the only core walker, or the only instance of the core Gatewatch walkers, and what they're currently doing, is I don't like what they're currently doing because we will always get 2 of 2 walkers. In
right.
every single block, every single set, we're going to get 2 of 2 walkers. Whichever walkers in the intro deck will also be in the packs.
Now, to be fair, when it comes to Gideon, he was not supposed to be in the same set as his Among My Cat counterpart.
He wasn't.
So I think, the emergency, we talked about that in the breaking news when they changed their whole standard format. So that kind of ruined their plans. They already had a Moncat set.
Mm.
So yeah, we would have still been, but I guess it doesn't really address your problem, which is no matter what, we still have Gideons.
And the reason that
yeah,
and the reason that I don't like the idea of them just printing the core Gatewatch walkers in the intro decks is because they're basically saying these are our poster characters. They are who our story is going to revolve around. They are who we want our new players to always be familiar with. But until there is a block or set that revolves specifically around them, each of their cards will suck. Because, let's be honest, the intro deck walkers mostly suck. If they had a couple changes, they could be playable. Like Tezzeret, if he maybe cost one less, he could be playable. However, they will never make them busted or desired to be played in standard, because that would ruin the point of the intro deck walkers.
Right. There's some corner cases, but for the majority, they're not going to see play.
No, like a 7-drop Liliana.
Maybe at your F&M in the hands of a new player who has no budget. Yeah. But typically, you're not going to see them.
Right. Which is why I would love it if, like, in Kaladesh, Ether Revolt, whichever, we had Chandra and Nissa, we had Dovin Baan and Saheeli, and the intro deck walkers were two kind of unnamed walkers. Named walkers, but people that weren't really going to show up in the story or of any importance, people that exist there. Or another point, which could be really cool, would be maybe walkers from that plane's past.
Right. If say you were on, if the current plane was Dominaria, you could get your intro walkers are Urza and Teferi.
Yeah, and I would totally dig that. I'd be totally down with it. On Kaladesh, we could have had some inventors from their past that were walkers.
Right. You could use it as just further pushing the plane.
The plane, the history, the depth of magic. They could use it to really enforce the depth of story and everything. But they're not. Personally, I feel like they're just using this as kind of a cop-out.
They're not basing it off of core walkers. They're basing off the walkers that the set is based around, or that they're in.
The set that's based around, but generally it's going to be Gatewatch members or future members of the Gatewatch or villains. Either way, we're going to have two of each walker in each set.
They're hitting the story beats in the Planeswalker decks, and obviously they're going to hit the story beats in the set.
Right, which is why I really like, the idea of a background walker.
Did you guys know Chandra's in Kaladesh?
Yeah.
Because she's here, and she's here.
Guys.
What up?
Gideon and Liliana are going to be in Amonkhet.
Really?
Oh, man, really?
Dude.
I know, it's crazy, right?
It is a little bit.
Now, and this has nothing to do, this is not a reason at all why I want it to continue this way. Akeem did bring up a point that there are echoes between the intro deck walkers and the actual set walkers.
Correct.
And if you want to elaborate on that.
The biggest examples from the first two, I thought it was kind of a cute thing that they did, but with Chandra Pyrogenius, which is the Planeswalker version, her plus ability deals 2 damage to an opponent, whereas Chandra Torture of Defiance, which is the 4-mana 4 ability walker that you get in Kaladesh if you get lucky enough to pull it or buy it from your local game store, first ability is exile the top card. You may cast it. If you don't, exile it still and deal 2 damage to an opponent. So it still does the 2 damage. You just add on the extra effect that you can possibly play a card too. Same with the minus whatever, do 3 damage to a creature. Same with Chandra Torture Defiance, minus whatever, 4 damage to a creature. So it's just everything about their abilities downplayed.
There's no such crossover with the Nissas. Also, there's only so much you can do with a red walker.
I get that, but there's another example of Ajani. His plus 1 ability on Unyielding, which is the one you can get, is look at the top 3 cards, any non-land permanent, put in your hand. The Planeswalker version is look at the top 3 or top 2, put a creature card in your hand. So there's some parallels. Also, I'm not saying it's perfect. Yeah, mana cost is... Okay, so the mana cost is a little bit weird. This is only a theory, but...
They're always within 2?
So far, there's only been within 2. And all the Planeswalker versions have been 6 straight up. This is probably going to change with Amonkhet because Gideon's 5, Liliana's 7. But
I really hope that inset Liliana's 9 mana.
Watch she be 5.
9 mana, 4 black pips.
Jeez.
No, 9 black pips.
All 9 black pips. Gristlebrand in
Devotion
Planeswalker
returns.
form.
+1, make an emblem.
I mean, Devotion could return since we're seeing gods again.
Right.
But that is not the point of this casting cost.
Yeah, but no, they do share some similarities. If you actually look at the cards side by side and analyze their abilities, you'll see that there is something, at least at the
Some
base
semblance
level.
there.
Right.
Right.
But how far is that? Is it just the all the Planeswalkers, like all the Jaces, pretty much deal with the same thing. All the Chandras deal with the same thing. All the Garrux deal with the same thing.
But
Not all of the Jajanjans do.
exactly,
A lot of them do.
And the only
I
reason
said not all.
And I said the reason why, again, is Ajani's ultimate, which is super busted. 5 counters on a Planeswalker, 5 counters on a creature.
That's fairly comparable to how...
Where the Planeswalker version is 5 counters on target creature.
Still fairly comparable to some of the other Ajanis.
But regardless, what Akeem's point is just that the abilities of the set walkers are always similar to the intro deck walkers, and we do get there. You can't have too much variance, but the similarities are so much there and in your face. It's kind of hard to ignore them.
Like you can't say that about Tezzeret and Miss Tezzeret. They're not that similar.
So there are the only thing that'll show is time.
Right.
Only with time will we find any kind of consistencies.
Yeah, it's only been 4 so far.
But now that we know what's...
Is that all that grinds your mind? We still have some more
Today, that's all that grinds my mind. Mill 10.
Oh shit.
That's not nice. Nobody likes a Miller.
Oh,
That's what it is. I'm a Vorthos, you're a Miller. You dirty deck toucher.
Deck
Don't
you touch your own deck. I don't care.
Don't
It
you-
goes in the graveyard.
Don't you touch my duck. So now, Akeem.
Hi.
I believe you had a segment that you wanted to talk about this week.
Well, yeah, recently. I actually posted this question on our Facebook, so if you haven't already, go ahead and search us up on on Facebook. Searching loyalty counters, you'll find it. But this past week, I've seen a lot of players in general, not just like any particular players, but people in general focusing a lot on Modern. We had the SCG Open last weekend, which is first team event that had Standard, Legacy, and Modern. There were also 2 Modern GPs, and this weekend was also a Modern Open as well, just straight up Modern. A lot of and by the way, it was actually capped out. It was 900 seating, all 900 seats capped out. So with this focus, it seems like the players are actually trying to show Wizards with their wallet what they want. The question I have to both of you is: do you think that Wizards of the Coast is actually going to pay attention to that and focus on it? The reason why I think that they should is mainly because you got Modern Masters 2017 coming out, which is when they introduced it a few years ago. Modern was the thing. You have Modern Pro Tours, Modern GPs, Modern PTQs. It was the thing. So we were all really excited to get our Termagoyfs and our later Electionors and everything else. But now that they essentially are saying we are focusing everything on Standard because we want, this is the set that everyone plays. It's the most people. We don't really make much direct money from Modern. That's more of a secondary market thing. So we're going to lay off. But then you sell a supplement set that's focused on Modern. Like, how does that necessarily correlate?
I will say the players are speaking the exact language that Wizards wants to hear, and that is money. Oh. Not to say too much bad about Wizards, but everything that they... you can pretty much figure everything that they do, all the choices they make, are based around revenue. What's going to
Right.
increase their revenue. But I'll let you start this off, Brian.
No, I don't think Wizards is going to do a damn thing. And I don't think they should. We get a ton of supplemental sets. We're getting, like, the Modern Masters, or you get in Conspiracy, you get occasional reprints. You get some reprints in the Commander decks. You get reprints via the Masterpiece series. Occasionally, they will grace us with like a Thoughtseize in Theros.
I don't think they'll ever do that again.
Right. They deemed that was a mistake, and thus the Masterpiece series was born to inject a little bit more into your packs per standard, but not mess up the metagame. However, when you focus more on Modern and make it, say, a Pro Tour format, because it's already... You have plenty of Modern Opens, GPs, events like Worlds, or the Magic World Cup, or the Magic World Qualifiers. If you take it to the level of the Pro Tour, which isn't really the Magic Professional Tour, it's the Magic Promotional Tour. What they need to do, and what they want to do, is showcase the latest cards and interactions from the set, so people will buy cards. As Roman was saying, it's about money. So when you bring up Modern, nothing's going to happen generally out of the latest set. We had weird outliers like Eldrazi, but generally it's not going to do much. You'll have one or two cards that affect these pretty entrenched decks, and thus it's not going to show anything. And to make it interesting from the last Modern Pro Tour, they have to shake it up with bans. Or unbannings, which hurts the metagame, hurts the players who, oh, I bought all these Liliana the Veils for like $90, and they just got banned, so now they're unplayable and dropped in price.
Now, I will say, before we move on to the next response, is that I didn't necessarily say I had to bring the Modern Pro Tour back, because I actually don't think they should. I know people are probably going to maim me for it, but for the reason that you said. I just said that don't abandon it, because a lot of parallels that have been brought to the attention, mainly on Twitter by multiple pros or people worried about it, is that they said the same thing they're saying about Modern, about Legacy. And Legacy is there, but it's definitely not as there.
Well, and that's the thing, is Legacy is an incredibly interesting format. It's so intricate, and
it's a different era of Magic.
But you're right, it is a different era of Magic. I learned Legacy watching coverage by Star City Games, and I absolutely love them for that. I'm very sorry that they started phasing that out. But the thing is, Legacy did bring in less numbers, and what did bring in more numbers was Modern. So Star City Games shifted onto that. Granted, there are a few Legacy Opens every year, but their main are Standard and Modern, because they see more Twitch viewers. It's just a higher turnout of players. Despite the fact that you like, or despite knowing about Legacy and seeing where it's going, Akeem, you've told me quite a few times that you didn't watch Legacy because you didn't know what was going on.
Right. And that is true. I'm only bringing up the point because of now we've definitely seen the lower numbers on Legacy since then. Roman, what did you... I saw you had...
Well, really quickly, if you guys are interested at all in seeing some older cards and some of these crazy plays and stuff, it's not Legacy, but I would suggest go and checking out Vintage Super League over on YouTube. You get to see a pretty good array of decks. You get to see some real pros handling the decks. It might be hard to keep track of at first, and why this person is playing, this crazy card that, like, for example, Charbelcher. It's like, what's happening now exactly? You're running how many lands in this deck? But as for Wizards of the Coast and Modern, while I do think that they could, and I even think that they should embrace Modern a little more at least, endorse it kind of, I don't think that they will. In fact, I am positive that they won't. The reasons that I think that they should embrace Modern as a format and endorse it even is that one, it would help move product. You know, they're constantly printing Modern Masters, and without endorsing it or embracing it, it's not so much. It's not that it's a dead product, but it's kind of like, why are you printing this? I mean, I get why you're printing it, but you guys don't even want. You guys aren't even like, hey, go play Modern. Also, it would give them more reason to give us fun Modern card reprints, like in the Jace vs. Vraska dual deck, we got Remand.
Right.
It wasn't anything, like crazy, but still, it was cool. We got Remand. Also, as for the whole new players thing, honestly, I think that if they embraced Modern a little more and talked about it, and made it a little more mainstream, it wouldn't be as confusing to new players. Like, if you get new players and these new players see all these old cards that are crazy cool and they're like, whoa, what's this? Can I play this? It's like, well, no, actually you can't. It's part of an old format that's called Modern. But, Wizards doesn't really do Modern anymore, so you can't really play with it. I mean, you could play with it casually if you wanted, but if you wanted to get into Modern, it would cost thousands of dollars, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Whereas if they embraced it more and printed a little more, I think that they would start seeing revenue through it. I think that they're just afraid to.
You act like Modern's dead.
I'm not,
even though we just had 2 Modern GPs.
No, I'm not saying that it's dead. I'm just saying that Wizards isn't making it mainstream at all. It's not that they're shoving it under the carpet or anything, but it's kind of like they're bringing you into their living room and they're saying, look at this, Kaladesh, Aether Revolt, Planeswalkers, and over there in the corner is Modern. And if you go down into the next to the bathroom, there's a closet, and in there is Vintage and Legacy. We don't really talk about them much, but you can pay attention to Modern if you want, but Standard.
I certainly see the pushing Legacy under the rug. Hell, one of the only Legacy tournaments last year, they chose to stream the Sunday Super Series Championship over it.
Yeah.
But Modern gets a ton of coverage. Modern gets talked about on the Wizards of the Coast's daily MTG. It gets plenty of GPs, almost comparable to Standard.
I haven't really seen much about Modern on the daily MTG lately. It's been a lot more of...
There may be a reason why. The other thing that... maybe the reason why it's not necessarily dead is because they feel like they can justify having Modern Masters, because usually that lines up with GP Las Vegas. And the first time they did it, it was 3 GPs in one, and it was about 2,000 people, I believe, that went to that event.
It was
large.
Each one was beat the record for the largest GP at the time.
Yeah, exactly. So I think they're just trying to replicate. Okay, well, we do like internal masters or Modern Masters. We'll set that up in time for a GP in Las Vegas, and I'll just be a thing.
As for why they won't, though, one, most of the revenue in it comes from secondary market, and the people who are organizing all of the tournaments. Star City. Does Channel Fireball?
Channel Fireball
probably.
Does, yes.
And I get why they're not making it part of like a pro tour or anything like that. Is they're trying to embrace the whole esports thing.
Streamline it.
I do think that their current format of streaming and covering it is bad.
I would agree.
I don't know how else to say it. It's kind of hard to keep track. If you were a new player, it's hard to keep track of what's going on, especially when the commentators start talking about possibilities, because it's really hard to follow like these hypotheticals with the small cards, the constant like showing the hand, not showing the hand, showing not.
I'm gonna leave that off because we're talking about that next week.
Okay. Well, either way, the reason that I don't think the reason why they won't put a modern Pro Tour in is because for as complicated as it is to stream standard with its sort of simplicity, it is that much harder to show what's going on in modern.
Oh, for sure.
Especially when you have like Death Shadow and stuff, and these new players are like, wait, why is he going down so much life? Why is this thing suddenly huge?
Heck,
what?
When listening to various card interactions, I've heard pros say, I don't understand why it does it. It does it, so we're still going to do it, but I have no clue why this interacts this way, yet I still can't do this.
Yeah. So, I think that they could embrace modern more, make it more mainstream. I think that they maybe not should. I would like them to, but at the end of the day, they're not gonna. It's like when people were trying to figure out like, are they gonna reprint this in this set, or are they gonna do this with this new stuff? It's like, well, if you think of it strictly from a monetary standpoint, no. And surprise, they don't. Most of the hypotheticals end up in the hypothetical land wherever they go when they die, because Wizards is not going to do anything that won't ultimately, or at least in the short run, make them money. I would love to see a return to Kamigawa. I wasn't playing during it. I would seriously love to see legendary uncommons, legendary lands, commons, all this crazy stuff. But I can't remember if it was either you or Akeem that mentioned it. Mark Rosewater said that he can't justify to his bosses, hey, let's print this set that almost killed us. It would probably do well if they did it right. They just did it wrong when they first did it.
Oh, for sure.
And they would definitely do it.
Huge fan of Kamigawa and the lore that it's based on.
Ninjutsu, all those fun mechanics. But we're not going to see it because they're afraid that it's not going to make them money.
Right.
And at the end of the day,
it's all about that green.
It's all about the green. And if you're ever trying to figure out, is Wizards going to do this? The next question you ask is, will it make them money?
Can they profit?
So, that was our last segment. And with that, our mana pool is empty.
Sadness. But you can follow us at the Loyalty Counters Twitter. That's at @loyalty_counter. Like us on Facebook, Loyalty Counters. And subscribe to us on YouTube, which again, Loyalty Counters.
I've been your host, Roman.
I'm Akeem. You can follow me on Twitter at Musamichi. And that's it. I'm not doing it this time.
No?
No.
No?
That's Musamichi.
Oh my god.
And you can follow me, Brian, over at Fell Story. That's FELL Story. See you guys on the uptick.
Catch you later.